Today, we're diving into a bold and maybe a little radical approach to solving one of Nigeria's most stubborn problems, housing. In Lagos, the demand for decent, affordable apartments has long outpaced supply. But one startup is trying to redraw that narrative. The company is Citiliving, led by Era Iyayi, and it's not your usual prop tech. Instead of simply listing houses or brokering rentals like other prop techs do, Citiliving is building houses right where people need them. Yes, you heard that right, building houses. It's betting that if you can fix the supply problem, everything else like renting, property management, transparency becomes easier. By mid-2025, Citiliving had developed 47 units across Lagos and Abuja, and its target is to scale up to 200 units within 6 months. Their model is quite interesting. They partner with landowners through joint ventures, giving them stakes in the finished units, and fund development by selling units to investors who are often diasporans, rather than relying on traditional real estate capital. And technology plays a role too. Once properties are built, their platform handles everything from tenant credit checks and rent collection to dashboards for investors and property management. Now, the question is, can a startup straddle the worlds of real estate development and tech? Will the model scale beyond the early units? Hi, I'm Sarah. Welcome to the Innovators on the Innovation Front. Joining me in just a moment is Era Iyayi, founder of Citiliving. We'll talk about how this idea came to him, how they structure partnerships and funding, how tech fits into the housing equation, and what lessons he's learned so far. Real estate in Lagos is an age-long problem. Everyone who has ever tried to rent in Lagos knows the hassle involved. So before we even get into it, I think just so we can have a bit of context, can you tell us about Citiliving and what you're doing?
All right. So Citiliving is a tech-powered real estate company, right? We say we are solving the rental housing problem. For us, the housing crisis, the much talked about housing crisis in Lagos and Nigeria, for us it is first of all a rental housing problem before it is a homeownership problem. So we say the housing crisis in Nigeria is first and foremost a rental housing problem before it is a homeownership problem. Not because Nigerians don't want to own homes, but because before people own homes, they need to first of all find decent ones to rent. So, that's why we are dealing with the rental aspect of the problem, So what Citiliving does is we are leveraging technology and what we call community, because we believe solving the problem requires bringing all stakeholders together. So when we say we are leveraging technology and community to address the rental housing crisis in congested urban cities, starting with Lagos and Abuja, right? Yeah, so we are in Lagos and we're also in Abuja for now, and then we believe that the solution can be scaled to other congested urban cities. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So I think, like I was saying about the situation of real estate in Lagos, anyone who is familiar with how it has been tried to solve over the years, you know that a lot of it is very tech-enabled. People want to help people find houses. People want to help people surpass the agent problem. But this is a new thing you're doing. So why did you choose this way? Why did you decide that instead of just trying to connect people with agents, trying to connect people with homeowners who want to rent out, you want to build?
Okay. All right. Thank you, Sarah. Let me start a genesis. Let me just describe it. First, we believe that how you understand the problem will determine how you solve it, right? So if you think that the housing problem is a pricing problem, what you want to do is that you want to bring rent control, you want to bring rent financing. If you think it's a pricing problem. So if you think it is a discovery problem, for example, that people need to find the houses, right, better, then you want to develop listing solutions with tech and all that. So that's why we believe that every technology is as good as the science backing it, right? It's a normal thing. So the understanding of the problem will determine the technology you want to use. So we are taking our time to study the problem, to understand the problem. And firsthand, we did not just delve into it, right? So we had a practical example, right? Someone wanted to rent. She had the resources to rent. She couldn't find the place. I was worried. I took the time out to search for properties. And from searching, I discovered that while we had beautiful sites, we had AI-enabled sites, right? Those AI-enabled sites, we're not going to solve the problem. So if we're going to solve the problems, we have to restructure, and that's what we are building. We are building because we believe there are two key problems, right? One is supply. There aren't enough houses to rent, however you want to look at it. And if you want to AI your way around that, you have to build, right? And if you think it is just supply and then you build, if you're commercial with Lagos, then you have what we call the Jakonde problem, or you have the Shagari Estate problem, right? Why we call the Shagari Estate and Jakonde Estate problem is because they built houses, right, in the 70s and 80s, but those houses are run down today because there were no management. So what we are doing is our understanding of the problem is that first it is a supply problem and a management problem. Supply and management, right? So if we fix the supply and management, then we can now use technology, right, to see how do we fix the supply. How do they use technology to fix the management, right? So to fix the supply, we need to build. Even government itself, if government builds 500 units, they celebrate it, right? But guess what? 500 units will not address the problem, right? In Lagos, we say we need about 3 million units. 500 will just scratch the surface. Citiliving, it is an ambitious goal to do 200 units in 2025, still very ambitious, but 200 units doesn't even scratch the surface. So what technology is helping us do is now to crowdfund that, right? So because typical African proverb, the food the community would cook will be too much for one individual to eat. So once we address the issues why people are not investing, so one of the things we have also done to address supply is to make rental housing investable. Yes, investable. So we have addressed the challenges people have faced with investing in rental housing, default in payments. We have used technology to make sure that we automated payments. We have introduced technology to verify tenants, so we are screened tenants. So we know based on their credit history and also their ability to pay. So we have set an affordability limit. So you cannot rent more than 33.3% off. That's 1/3 of your net income, which is your net revenue less your rent expenses for average of 2 years, right? So that gives a level of guarantee. And we're also introducing tenant insurance. Again, first time in Nigeria. So first of all, yes, we introduced verification, right? We also introduced tenant insurance. So what that has done is because we have understood the problem. The problem is not a discovery problem. So listing sites, they've done a good job, right? If you put AI on a lack of housing, right, you do not solve the problem. If you put like blockchain, so we must build. So there's a concrete problem. I cannot AI our way out of a concrete problem. There's also a management problem. And that is why we have provided plug-and-play management solution to other developers, because we realize that if we want to deliver 100,000 units, part of our roadmap, right, we will not deliver up to 10% of that, Citiliving, right? So when we discuss with partners, we'll say, okay, they prefer asset-light companies, which is fine. We do not expect that we'll build all the 100 units, but we want to provide the technology that will power those 100 units, that would unlock the market, right? We say it's a $20 billion per year market, right? That's the amount people pay for rent typically, but it is unstructured, it is fragmented. So what Citiliving has done is to understand the problem first. It is a supply and management problem, then use technology to address supply, right? To unlock, make it investable, then many people can. So if you are in Nigerian, a diaspora, right, you can invest in rental housing in Nigeria now, and then there's a trusted platform. And one of the major challenges we have faced is trust. Technology has helped us, right, in trying to bring transparency, and because transparency will build trust, right? So transparency and trust. That was a long answer though, but the problem is, so just give a short answer. Why we are building it, because our understanding of the problem is that without a clear understanding of the problem, right, we may not be able to apply the right technology. So it is first and foremost a supply problem and a management problem before it is any other thing you get. So once we address supply, you have more person. If you address supply, you can address pricing. So you need to first make it available before you talk about affordability. You understand? So another thing, if you ask me those questions, we are not going to be more expensive than the typical houses. Yeah. So if you go into pricing, I'll wait to then.
That's good. And thank you very much for that answer. You mentioned the article, the Bollywood for Tech Points, about Citiliving, and I saw that you were trying to solve this problem, this Lagos real estate problem, without spending a lot of money, right? You are going the joint venture, you're using a joint venture model. So I want to understand how this joint venture works.
All right. So at Citiliving, we have said the root cause of the problem, supply and management, and our solution, technology and community. And that community, we are bringing all key stakeholders, right, together to solve that problem. So one key part of our community are landowners, right? Those who own title land in city centers. City centers, because that is where Nigeria's urban population want to live. However, there's a mismatch. The houses in the city centers are old, dilapidated, right? And many of the owners do not have the capital to refurbish these apartments, right? So what we are now doing is partnering with them, right? Enter into joint venture agreements with them, allocate units to them, and then sell the other units. The fund from the units we sell, we now use them to develop the properties. So now landowners, they gain. So they now have high value properties in city center, right? They no longer own the entire land, right? But they own units, right? That will deliver higher returns, right? That are now that have better value than what they currently have. While investors also get returns and they can also profit from the real estate boom. So what we have done is that also helps us to deliver what we call the direct to rental model, where we now rent, those who want to rent, we now rent it out to renters without charging the typical inspection fees, middleman fees, agency fees, 2 years upfront payment. Again, we just do everything direct using technology.
All right, so this project is quite capital intensive, right? So there is the part where retail investors, people who individuals who want to buy into the units, they bring money and then you use that. But I still think that, and correct me if I'm wrong, that there's still a lot of capital that must go into it. You have to pay government agencies. There are also other things that are involved in building, right? And so I want to understand what other types of external funding are you considering for this to ensure that it doesn't become too burdensome? Right, and it's a two-pronged question actually. So I want to understand your approach to external funding, if there is any. And secondly, I want to know if you think VCs, because you're a prop tech, so you are in real estate and you're in technology, so VCs may be an approach, but some people may not agree that VCs are the best place to go. So maybe they may think DFIs are better, so maybe you go to development finance institutions like the AFDB. But I want to know what your approach is to that.
All right. So in thinking the model, Citiliving model, right? First, we decided to be customer funded, right? To prove the model, and that's what we have done successfully, right? In the last 18 months, so we have been customer funded, and we do agree with you that, of course, there will be need for external funding. In fact, even as far as commercial papers, right? So, but the funding that we'll need will be funding that align with our mission. Right, that aligns with our mission, and good enough. By our model, we can give VCs the returns they want, but we'll not want to go into VC deals because we are getting the returns. We really want to go into them because of our missions align, right? Of course, we'll need the right funding to be able to put the right team together as we grow, and then to be able to fund the right technology, right, that will power the solution. Yes, we're open to financing, but the financing first has to align in terms of our mission, and our mission is to solve a real problem, right? So solving that problem is more important than money or whatever. We don't want to raise money for the fun of raising money, but we are happy to work with partners, right? We'll see the tax to be done, the work to be done, right, and then we can support beyond just financing, beyond just fund. Like I said when we started, capital is money is not the only form of capital. So we're very conscious about that. That there are certain relationships that can unlock different types of wealth and capital. So of course, there are different ways, different routes. Now, VC is one of them, impact investment one of them, private equity can also work, commercial papers, rates in the future, you understand, but we would, as our stage demands, so the state of our business will determine the kind of financing we really want to take. So for now, we are looking for more than capital, looking for partners, right? We'll see what we want to do. Then we want to join us on this journey. So private equity, venture capital, angel investment. Then of course, once we get to a certain point, part of our roadmap, we are looking at commercial papers and rates. Yeah.
All right, thank you. I want to go into a question on pricing.
Okay, good.
Right, because we spoke about pricing earlier, and you mentioned that your pricing is not much different from the houses that we have currently. So, first of all, how are you able to maintain this? What's the pricing like?
Okay, so I've taken time to understand the rental housing market in Nigeria or Lagos, for example. One thing it is fragmented. How do people fix their prices? Sarah and I, we own properties on the same streets. So Sarah decides to charge 2 times the amount. She wants to wait. Because there's a huge demand, one desperate person will come and then will rent the property. Then the next time I want to rent out, I'm saying that, oh, if Sarah can rent a property 2 times the amount, then I should charge it 2 times the amount. That's what people have done. So data has not backed pricing. Data has not backed pricing. That's the first thing. So it is fragmented, then data has not backed pricing. So what we have done is work with investors who own the units. Then from the beginning, we let them know that data will inform pricing. Anywhere in the world, rental yield is between 5 to 7%, right, of the current value of the property, right? And there are valuation models to use to determine the value of the property. So as at today, from our valuation model, right, our properties, because of most properties in the market now, they are overpriced. So, and using our models, right, our properties will deliver better value in terms of quality, in terms of location, in terms of neighborhood effect, and at typically the current price that most people are charging. So what we expect to do, because of, like I said, fragmented market, we also expect that we will make the market, like what they call in finance, when you're a market maker, right? So most people would look to Citiliving to form their own prices. So if Citiliving is offering this value at this price, you cannot offer a lesser value at the same price. So those are the impacts, right? We look at making. Yes, we seek to bring to the market again. Those kind of impact where we fix prices transparently. They are fair, backed by data, and then we can now encourage other developers and other landowners to also inform their prices based on that. So if Citiliving is offering this value, right, and they are charging this price, renters now have bargaining power to tell others, right? So most people will now want to use, but essentially will now want to use data, right, to inform the fixing of rental prices, not just Sarah is charging this amount and all that. If you go online, you see people do it. If you're willing to wait for 3 months, your property should be ready for 3 months, somebody desperate will come one day. And when that person comes, that becomes the price of that person on that street is charging. That person now comes. So on our platform, we say greed is also one of the problems. You understand? Yeah, greed is one of the problems. So, but if you're looking at real estate as a get quick rich scheme, Nigeria is getting there. You shouldn't be in real estate. You understand? So of course, many people came into real estate to get rich quick and all that, but with data and platforms like Citiliving and others, we would encourage also come into the business. We expect that data will begin to drive pricing.
Interesting. So based on that, I want to further understand. So when people buy units of the housing units, and now they own those housing units, probably wherever they are, maybe in Nigeria, maybe in the diaspora. Can they determine how much they want to rent out those units?
No, they don't, because we manage on their behalf. So part of the agreement is they give us the rights to do that.
Okay, so they cannot, they don't
independently,
so no, they don't have the independence to manage the units by themselves.
Yes. So we manage it and then we give returns. We also let them know how much we are charging as fees, so they do not think that we would overcharge and I give them a part of it. No, so they already know. So that's why we are saying, first of all, we are dealing with mission-driven investors, people who understand that the market as it is cannot be the way it should be, right? So let us do the right thing. And whatever we are doing, this is it. Citiliving is not necessarily doing anything new. We are just doing it the right way, bringing technology to it and all that, then trying to provide structure, right? Because owning rental properties has been an old game. Most of us, our parents had rental properties, right? Yeah, that they sent us to school with, So it's not a new idea, right? People own properties in Dubai, you understand? But once you give it to a management company, those management companies, based on data, they tell you X, Y, Z, this is the amount you should charge and all that. But the good thing for us is we are not driven by greed. We are driven by a clear understanding of the market and a clear mission, right? And the mission is not just to do charity, it is business, right? So there's profit for investors, that's what we call them investors, there's profit for investors, but it has to be backed with data. So we let them know based on X, Y, Z, this is it. Renters will take charge of their service charge. Once rent comes up, then we make the rent payments to on behalf of renters, we send them to the land investors, yeah.
So help me understand, Nigeria and primarily Lagos is a very interesting place, in quotes. So anyone who is in real estate, like you, would understand or anyone who has even ever tried to rent or build anything, will understand that there are these underlying issues, one of which is omonile, right? So I want to know, what are the hurdles that you have to go through in terms of building. So I've just mentioned one, which is, I don't know if that's something that you deal with, but there are inefficiencies in government agencies, bureaucratic bottlenecks. So I'm trying to understand in this process of building houses, because it's a very laudable goal, but it's also very it also has a lot of moving parts. So I want to understand just the process and the things that you have to go through in reaching the goal.
So in terms of challenges now, the question you've asked is not on challenges, external challenges, title and title verification. Trust me, there are different ways people have come up with to try to cheat people with titles, you get. So finding the right property can take you more than 6 months just before you even finalize negotiations. So if government is going to help, it's going to be title, right? So good enough, the EGIS, right, the gentleman in charge, right? So at an recent event, he talked about it, So if government can actually make titling very seamless, right, and verification of titles seamless, so that in fact, if Sarah wants to invest, Sarah can verify whether Citiliving's title is genuine, right? You get so title is one of on money they are an issue. We pay them, right? But we engage with them, right? So and for us, our principle is the carrot and the stick. You understand? You get so because we are clear about what we do. So as long as we have government permits, government approval, we have the title, right? So we have legal ownership, right, to do what we are doing, legal right to do what we are doing, then we understand that, of course, it is stakeholder management, so we go at that level, right? So, but there are those who act funny, and we also find a way to work with law enforcement, right, to handle them, you get. So, of course, there are challenges. We did not set out to this, and we did not set out on this path and think that there will be no challenges. So, of course, there are times where we have asked whether we should move forward, whether we're on the right path. You get, there are even resistance from other players. You get, we didn't see that coming, but then we quickly had to adjust. There is this resistance, you get from other players in the industry. But with engagements like this, let them know that, of course, the goal is not also to even increase prices, because that's one of the suspicions people have had, that, oh, nice idea, whatever you are doing now, you'll now be the one determining prices. You get, and that's why we emphasize the fact that we are not driven by greed. So we are putting it out there publicly, so everything will be backed by data, right? And of course, the Monile issue, we have to engage. We have to engage with the right people, right? And many of them we have seen are reasonable, right? And good enough because we use the joint venture model. Part of what we do is that the landowner, the title owner, part of their obligations and responsibility will also be to lead the engagement with the Moniles themselves, you understand? So that's part of their contribution to the transaction, you understand? But of course, we know that there are carrots, there are payments, there are fees and all that, but they don't have to be unreasonable. Because for us, one of the things we do is that we reduce our operating costs right from the beginning. So when you start paying Omoniles exorbitant fees, it reflects, again, the kind of amount. And there is what that goes around, you understand? That Citiliving, we pay the list, but we negotiate with clear purpose, and we let them know that beyond the fees they get today, there is a benefit our project will have on their community, you understand? So many of them have been reasonable, many are educated, even many of them Moniles, But of course, you'll find the unreasonable ones. That's why we use what we call the carrot and then the stick.
All right, thank you. So can you explain to us the tech part? So Citiliving is tech-enabled. So how exactly does the tech part work?
Whatever we want to do, tech does it for us. You understand? So I'm here, and then the platform is running. You get, someone can buy property right now without even talking to me. So first, we say the technology is only as good as the science, right? So if you understand the problem, you can apply technology better, right? So our understanding of the problem is that it is a supply and a management problem. So, but our solution is both technology and community. Now, for supply, we are using technology to unlock rental housing and make it investable. So with technology, our platform, people can buy properties through our platform, right? So what we have done is verified rental properties. Other developers can list. So in part of our platform, we are a listing platform as well, but we are beyond the listing platform. We also provide the plug-and-play property and facility management solution, right? So properties would not build, that are built by other developers, right? They can use our plug-and-play property and facility management solution to also do everything we are doing. Because what we essentially want to do is bring order to the market, right? Order to the market beyond what Citiliving does for Citiliving properties, other developers can use our solutions to also do whatever Citiliving is doing. So whatever benefit we're offering, other developers, as long as their projects and their property meets our quality criteria, we can then onboard them on our solution, our tech solution. So we use tech for supply, we use tech for management, right? So property and facility management, right? So rent collection automated, we screen with technology, right? So using your government data, right? BVN and NIN, right? We screen with that, even your identity to be sure that who is renting. So what that does is we have a pool, right? And then we automate payments. So from verification, even to browse the properties, right? We use technology, virtual reality, so you can see the property as it is. So we say you can rent in 3 clicks. Citiliving can rent in 3 clicks. First click is verification. Second click is to search using virtual reality. And third click is to make payments. And that payment is automated, right? So through your account payments, you know, so you can, like I said, what we are doing is not essentially new, right? But you can be in Madrid, you have a job to come to Lagos, you're going to be in Lagos for 6 months, right? Then before you land, you have the apartment, that's where we are getting to. Then you know the quality, you know where it is. Then you want to see the neighborhood, you want to see how the pressure of you understand the water is coming from you understand the shower. Then you can do all that. You get see everything as it is. You know, in fact, early this morning, someone sent me a tweet, a screenshot of a tweet where someone on Twitter recommended that, there is a solution where people who live close to a property can help people who want to rent the property verify. He said, okay, can Citiliving bring that up? But okay, why not? We'll look at it, the product team will look at that. Again, so we use technology at every of our touch point, every part of the business, but we are clear about why we are using technology. We're not just using technology for technology's sake. We are using technology with a clear understanding that it is first a supply problem and a management problem before it is any other thing, right? So technology is helping us to unlock supply. Unlock supply by making it investable, right? People are saying rental housing can be invested in, right? So if we unlock supply, even governments cannot meet the numbers, right? Then management, we're also using technology to provide plug and play property and facility management. So if you own the property, you do not have to go through the stress. You understand? So technology will help you do that. So these technologies are already available. We are just using them to solve what we have understood to be the problem.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
So with the way Citiliving is going now, I think you have about 47 units.
Yeah, about 64 now. 64. Not ready, you understand? We are different stages of.
But yes, right. So
want to get some. Sorry to interrupt. Want to get some ready by December, so people can actually see Citiliving from start to finish. Meaning that okay, these are properties we started. These are properties people are living in and all that. So we want to get that so we can put that part of trust, put that out there so people can see that. So we are working really hard to make sure that by December we have that.
Yes, that's good. So what's the goal? You said you've mentioned December now, but I'm thinking in terms of a 5-year range. What would you say is the goal?
Okay, I'll give you an answer I gave at the Lagos Startup Expo. Right, so at the Lagos Startup Expo, we had a podcast. Right, we had a podcast there, and after the podcast, the interviewer, right, interviewed me, right, to respond to many of the things. So she asked me a question that I responded to, and that response has stuck with me. She said, "This is living in 5 years," right? So I'll give you the same response. In 5 years, what we see is that we see renting in Lagos reimagined. We see it possible in 3 clicks. Not just what Citiliving has done, but what we have helped others do, what we have helped other developers do, what we have helped other renters do, other landowners do. That's what we see in 5 years. In 5 years, we see a Lagos and Abuja, and then other urban cities, maybe in African urban cities, where you are coming to work there in Lagos, tech startup in Lagos, in Yaba, you are in Abeokuta, you are in Ilorin, and you just finished for University of Benin, and you get a job in Lagos, and then in 3 clicks, you can find a decent property to rent because they have been built because Citiliving unlocked the capital that was available, right? Because people are already building other types of properties, but we just need to encourage them to build rental properties and then provide them the technology to manage them, right? So because we have unlocked them, the units are now available. We see that happening. We see more rental units available, organized, well built, well managed, well maintained, right? And then in 3 clicks, renters can rent them. First, verification. Second is search using virtual reality, and third is payment, right? Using automated payments. So we automate those payments, and then payments can also be regularized. So that's what we see. We see a reimagined rental ecosystem in Lagos in 5 years. Not just because what Citiliving has done, but because of what we have made other developers also do.
Interesting. And lastly, what do you think is the role of Nigeria's government and the Lagos state government in this goal?
Title. Title, the government title, enforcement, regulation, clear regulation. You get, and I was at an event when I made the comment that we must not see, we shouldn't even see regulation as a source of revenue. The goal of regulation is not enforcement. The goal of regulation should be compliance, standardization, right? The standard. There's some neighborhoods I drive past and I'm wondering, so I don't usually like to be, to dwell on what's not work or judgmental, but if whatever government doing now, right? If I were to encourage, one is standardization, titles, right? Titles should be clear, right? Titles. Then, of course, enforcement. We have taken our time. Let me tell you something. You can have, and let me put it out there. You can have title for a property, right? And the survey is wrong. Because what people now do in support of Lagos, they forge survey, they use another survey to get approval. And if you do not go and chart those survey, the title, that land is not the land that has approval. You understand? You get, so if government can regularize the titling system, that you get, it is seamless. If this land has title, let us know it has title. You understand? Who owns the title? Who should we talk to? Who should we talk with? You understand? You get, so whatever government can do is title. And I'm aware the EGIS, of course, talking about it, but we need to see action follow those good talk. You understand? You get, so if government is going to do anything, title, and then to encourage investment in rental housing. If I'm going to put one thing there, one of the conversations we are having with those in government, we can introduce tax credits for anybody who invests in Citiliving's properties, again, rental housing, because rental housing helps the society. One tweet, someone posted about when the conversation about renting issues. He said Lagos may get to a point where people will not take up jobs because they cannot find a place to live. Imagine you're in Abuja, you have a job in Lagos, and then you have to come to Lagos, and then you are scared. Someone who has called it a murder scene. You get shoot on TV. She got a job in Lagos. She was house hunting. She called it a crime scene. And now called it a murder scene. So Lagos don't want to get to that point. To encourage more people to invest in rental properties, the government can also give what we have called tax credits. So if you own any rental property, you can draw that from one of your other taxes, So that way they encourage more. They show that, okay, this is where we want your investment to go. You understand? But the first thing really is titling. You understand? Titling, yeah.